This is the Audiotronics classroom record player. This is the 312t classroom record player. There's the serial number and a quick walkthrough through the features. There's some information there on the voltage. This is the tone arm. And it mentions that to start the turntable, you have to pick up the armrest. So this armrest has a screw in it, which you can just undo. And then you'll have the ability to put the tone arm wherever it needs to go. Turn that right back on. To stop it, obviously you pick it up and you put it back at rest. It's got an on switch integrated with the treble and bass. So if you want to turn it on, you just have to turn it and you'll hear a click. And the light will turn on there. And you'll see the turntable turn. And it's got several different speeds. This turntable can play 16 RPM, 33 1/3, 45, and 78 records. I'll turn it on, turn it off just a second. The volume on this is pretty good. I would say it's probably better than most Crosleys from that are released, now. That's just the inside cover, and it gives you several different instructions on how to operate the turntable. My estimate is this is probably from the 70s. I have not really found anything online about this. This is not belt drive. This actually has a platter, and it's got a wheel underneath it for it to turn. And here's the clip holding it all together. And this is just an adapter for the 45 RPM records that you can turn, and that's your adapter basically. So the story with this record player, I got it actually many months ago. And when I got it originally, it did not have a functioning stylus. So as you can see, I had to do some adapting. So I ended up getting one of these BAMPA cartridges with the 78 and the LP needle. I put these little clips on the wires that were coming out of the tone arm. So that's where the wires are from the tone arm. And I ended up grounding one of the cables onto the tone arm. So that's like the grounding of it. And I got one of those switchable needles or styluses. You can see that right there. Will allow you to play 78s. And the bottom one is for LPs. So now you can switch it over. So that little mod is really helpful because I had the toughest time finding a cartridge and a stylus for this turntable. They're basically, you cannot find them. So I feel like the conversion is really going to help this thing now because it's got a modern cartridge with this turnable stylus. That's installed there. And I ended up soldering a couple of clips onto the wires there. So now it's mounted. Not the cleanest job, but it got the job done. This tone arm had like a little O-ring that was completely falling apart, so I ended up putting a new O-ring in there. And then it made the tone arm a little bit stable and it's not moving anymore. So one thing I noticed about this, and this is typical of most turntables when you have a platter that's smaller than a full-size LP platter. There is a little bit of warble when you play on this, but it still plays pretty good. I've taken apart the mechanism and I cleaned it out, so it's playing a lot better now. It was pretty stiff when I first got it, but now it rotates pretty freely there. So let's go ahead and hear some sound samples. All you got to do is turn on the button, okay, and you'll get a signal. I like to leave this right in the middle between the treble and bass, and then adjust afterwards accordingly. So there's that little light. I'll turn the volume up a little bit so you can hear it. Okay. And I like this little retainer here that allows you to just unscrew it, and when it's ready to be used, you can just pull the tone arm and put it down on the record. You can hear that speaker. So in order to raise this little adapter over to 45, you just lift it up and you clip it on. So now it's ready to hold the 45. So it gives you a pretty good idea of it plays 45s at the correct speed, and there's definitely no warble at all. It's pretty clean actually. So I now have put one of my 78s on there. So accordingly, I'm going to go ahead and take the arm and use that mod that I made on it. And as you can see, that's for 78. So I'm going to flip it over. Fasten that for a second. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and change the speed over to 78. And I could barely see that over there. 78. All right, and then we'll go ahead and turn this on. Okay, and you can see now it's spinning as fast as a 78 would. So here's my final verdict on this. I think it's a very good modification to do. Of course, if you're worried about leaving this original, then I probably wouldn't do it because you're definitely going to have to make some modifications here on the tone arm. Let me just show you. As far as the soldering, as far as removing some of the components from the old one. I did have to buy an adapter for this cartridge because it would not originally mount correctly on there. So there's like an additional little mount. I don't know if you can see it right there. But I did have to buy an additional mount to mount this cartridge and for it to be mounted there appropriately. I have not measured the tracking on this because this is not like for everyday use. It's kind of a novelty for me. This really just stays in the garage because it's just so old that I don't think I would want to use it for everyday use. But it's super well made. This tone arm, you know, it's all metal. You don't get to see that often. And I like that it has a headphone jack. The tone control works really well. The volume works really well. The speaker sounds pretty good. It did require me to clean it, but now it sounds a lot cleaner. The platter is solid. I mean, it's metal, you know. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's solid metal. I love this dial. It's very retro. And you got your speeds. I would like to someday get a 16 RPM record just to test this on there. But other than that, I mean, this is a great little find. The guy gave me a pretty good deal on it, and I think I spent money on just getting this BAMPA cartridge on there. The mount cost me about $10, and the Vampa cost me about 15. And then I had to buy the correct stylus for that, which was another $10. I don't remember how much for everything, and roughly. So I think it's pretty good for. I mean, this could be everyday use, I guess, if you wanted to use it for every day. It's certainly solid, and it works well still. But I just see it as a novelty because obviously I have, linear tracking turntables that, I would prefer to use this over this. I got my Audio-Technica that will play 78s. So this is kind of nice though. I mean, I like it. It's very vintagey. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.